Over a year ago, I sold my Ursa 12K and bought a low-cost Blackmagic Design Production 4K. You can check that out here. And while it's been a great earner, when I stumbled across a bunch of micro cinema cameras for sale, I just jumped at the chance to parlay them into a free camera and up my budget filmmaking game with some raw 50p goodness. Initially, the rig was pretty simple. It was just this. But now I just want to see how far I can juice this pint-sized beast up for studio use. Okay, off the bat, this video is not sponsored. This is my own gear that I use every day. So let's start with the most important part of the rig, which is the Excelsius cage. For this little camera, it's perfect because it has plenty of mounting points to add whatever your heart desires. It has some unique design features that allow you to use the new Pixis monitor and handle if you have a G2, which I don't yet, but sub up if you want to see that content in the future. Clearly, what I love about this cage is its versatility across several generations of Blackmagic Design micro cameras. So no matter which one I have, if I get that itch to upgrade to the G2, the cage and all of my accessories are just going to move on over. And that's important to me, and it should be important to you too. But I also like how snugly the camera fits into the cage and how it really creates a solid base to build from, which is important when adding a fizz system, as the torque from the motors can introduce a lot of play into the lens mount. Now, I find that most of these older cameras have pretty sloppy native mounts anyway, so when I can, I do use a speed booster, not just to gain more light and field of view, but also to be able to use a locking mount in either PL or EF. And the Excelsius system fixes this in a super easy way. You just need to add the riser plate and the universal lens support and you're golden. It just screws in like this and it only takes a couple of seconds. To the Excelsius riser, I'm adding a wooden camera sliding bridge plate system. These are really well made, they're super durable, and they add a good amount of weight to the setup. They also have a decent footprint, which aids in stopping your camera from tipping forwards and falling over. Now, I machined these 15mm stainless steel rods. They have a thicker wall to accommodate larger zooms, high torque focus motors, and are super stiff, which is important as all the torque from the focus motors is just going to be transferred down into that lens mount. So the thicker walls stop lens sag, which can apply unwanted pressure to the lens adapter and stop the fizz motors from just jumping off when you're making fast focus changes. Okay, let's drop on a lens. I'm currently liking these Canon Cine primes. They've just been totally forgotten. So the prices of them now are quite affordable. And contrary to common belief, they do not render the same image as their stills counterparts. If you'd like me to make a video showing this, just drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe. Now with this configuration, there is zero lens play, but I would still like someone to make some lens feet for the Cine primes. You can just never be too secure, but also because Canon never made them, which is crazy because they have the mounting threads here, but like I said, Canon has just abandoned them. Okay, up top, I've used one of the most comfortable camera handles I've found to date. It's from Nitzy. It's the Arri locking mount version. It has plenty of mounting points and a cold shoe with a safety lockout. It's pretty snazzy and it only costs around $20 new. As for monitor mounts, I've been liking these ones from SmallRig as both ends have anti-twist pins and it has a good amount of tilt and swivel friction resistance. Now, I have reviewed this monitor on my channel before, and I love it because it pairs super well with the micro. What I didn't discuss in my last video was that this monitor displays the log image of these older Blackmagic Design cameras very accurately, which is something that I'm finding is an issue with my recently acquired Sigma FP. With the Sigma, I've had to muck around with a stack of different monitors to get the image looking right, but this newer F700 on the micro is just awesome out of the box. And I know that it looks huge on this little camera, but you just have to go with what works, right? And for me, it works. All right, let's get some stuff connected. I have this MPF battery from Amazon and this Alvin's flexible HDMI cable that I'll connect in a bit, because first I'm just going to add this NATO rail to Arri Rosette. To this, I'm adding the Arri Rosette quick adjuster and my Arri side handle, which really stabilizes the rig if I need to go handheld to get a shot quickly for a director. The reason why I haven't mounted the monitor to the NATO rail here is twofold. First, the camera has no external monitor, so it will never be removed. And secondly, this is better for the overall balance and ergonomics of the system. But the one thing I haven't figured out is how I'm going to convert the BL run stop trigger over to Lank. When I do, I'll drop a video on that because these are super nice handles and they can be found used literally for nothing. Okay, this is my custom LPE6 dummy battery. It's just a cheap one from Amazon with a cable that I've cut down. It's super easy to do and all you need is 5 minutes, some wire cutters, solder and heat shrink. Just measure twice, cut once, and once done, this just makes for a super clean build without excessive wires having to be hidden everywhere. Now that I have that installed, I can add my wooden camera C-box. Now this is the older universal version, but it still allows me to power everything from it and either convert the camera's HDMI to BNC or double my HDMI outputs, which is really what is needed in a studio environment. Essentially, this just gives me a huge amount of signal routing options. I can go from the camera to a Pyro 7S via HDMI and then use the Pyro S to switch the signal to SDI and route the image into the C-box, then break that signal out either to SDI to say a Viltrox DCX3, a Pyro 7, or just reconvert the image back to HDMI for my F700. It's always good to have options. Powering this bad boy is currently my favorite budget battery from CG Cine, the V99. The V99 can run the 7-inch monitor, camera, and the next edition for a very good portion of a single day. Now, while I own the DJI LiDAR system, as I'm going to be in a studio, the Tilta Nucleus M system is a better choice. And as I'm using primes, I only need 2 motors, one for iris and the other for focus. I have to say, I've owned this Tilta system for 4 years. It's been rock solid and a very worthwhile investment, and it has never given me any issues. This version has now been superseded by Tilta, so you can probably find one in your local area at a great used price. Seriously, they are still worth owning. Another thing that I believe is essential for a studio setup is a good swing away matte box. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find one at a decent price, so I've just been using this cheap clamp-on one from Small Rig for some time now. It's okay for the money, it's just limited because it can only hold 2 filters and it's not a swing away. And when you're using super speed primes like these CNEs, that matters because you can run out of filter stages very fast. But I also own several other matte boxes from all the other major brands, and they all have the same problem. But the Small Rig one is the only one that can accommodate standard 114mm front diameter Cine primes. The rest are limited to a smaller 95mm standard. And that's a major thing to consider when you're looking at a budget matte box. If any of the major manufacturers could produce a low-cost 3-stage studio space swing-away matte box, like this one from Lampart, but in studio sizing, I think it would sell like hotcakes. Now you might be asking why I'm not using the Lampart one. Well, that's because this is limited to smaller lenses, is configured in a lightweight spacing, and it only uses 4x4 filters. So these 4x565 nano filters from K&H, which are my filters of choice, won't fit. Now I've talked about these a lot in my other videos. They are what I believe to be the best dollar value, super accurate IRND filters available today. No matter how many of these I stack together, I don't get color shifts or annoying cross patterns, and best of all, the set allows me to shoot wide open at much higher ISOs without color pollution. Now, as this is being set up for studio use, I won't be adding any audio. That's for the sounding, but I do have to supply the camera media. Now, I found with these older Blackmagic cameras that they can, like the Sigma FP, be very fussy with camera mags. But the way that I work around this is by using V90 cards for the full wax standard frame rate RAW, and then use slower V60 cards for the 3:1 compressed RAW files at higher frame rates. And this has been working for me without fault. I don't know why, it just does. And with that, this little studio beast is built. And for now, I'm super happy with it. I still need to find a good swing away matte box and a good Micro Four Thirds to PL adapter, but that's for a separate video. Right now, I have to get this Sigma FP rigged out for something else. So if that piques your interest, consider subscribing. And if you do, I'll see you in the next video.